Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the promo. That's right, this is purely just the promo going into my new podcast series called Gear, Beer, New Laughs, and Old Friends. I hope you're doing well, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. I've been excited about this podcast for a minute now. I got the idea and I just was like, oh, it'd be cool just to interview musicians that I know, talk about gear, share some stories and experiences, and just see overall what happens. So again, this is just the promo, The first series will be coming out hopefully in a couple of days. Oh, come on. Thank you. That's far too kind. But before we get into what we're going to talk about on the show, we got to make sure we have the second part, the beer, covered. Oh, yeah. It's red, white, and blue, and it has 3 letters on it. Starts with my last name, which is Peabody, so you do the math. That is of the finest quality. So the first show hopefully is going to be airing in a couple days, like I said. And the idea of the idea of the show, it's in the title. I mean, you can't go much more plain than that. But what I'm planning on doing for every segment, besides, doing my intro, and I'm recording my theme music tonight, courtesy of Walker Janelle. I'm excited about that little bass action. I'm gonna talk about, for the gear portion, I'm gonna have a pedal of the podcast where I talk about a guitar pedal, bass pedal that I've been using in my setup recently, or somebody else has been using that I'm really fond of and I like the sound. And I'm gonna talk about something, specific for bass that I really enjoy. And I'm gonna talk about, find a unique find where I, try to showcase, local made brands, that sort of thing, guys that build their own amps, own guitars, that sort of thing, stuff that I think is nifty. And then I'll have my failed moments, gear that I've used that just didn't work for me. Oof, beer is good. And then I'm going to get into the local artists. And what I mean by local artists, I'm not talking about someone who's within 5 miles of me. I'm just talking about the guys that are out there grinding hard. And gals that are out there grinding hard, trying to make a living playing music, but aren't, necessarily signed, or if they are, they're not on any major tour. So I'm going to talk about those guys that are just out there, paying the bills, paying their dues, trying to make it in the world. And since I got friends and hopefully listeners all over the United States, at least geographically, I'm not that big. I mean, it's not even my first broadcast yet. You know what I'm saying, right? You guys can all check them out and listen and, get a wider broad base of, who you're listening to, and then find out great musicians from all over the U.S. And then I'm going to try to interview at least somebody from that band for my local caller, my guest caller of the podcast. I'm going to have someone call in. I got the nifty gear to do that now, which I'm excited about. And this is also kind of my test run with it. And then from there, we'll go into talking about their experiences on the road and if they've toured and their gear they use and all that kind of stuff. Just, nerdy music stuff, gear stuff. And if they don't care about gear, we'll just talk about stories and interview some of my friends that have been in bands with me and talk about the stories that we have. And then going to go on and talk about musician news. And I'm talking about the guys that are actually playing, and gals. When I say guys, it's gender neutral, I promise. I got a lot of female musicians too that are awesome friends of mine. So guys is just an overall encompassing term. Talk about what's going on in the real world with people who actually play instruments. I'm not going to be covering pop stars. If you want a pop podcast, piss off. This ain't the one for you. I'm going to talk about what's irritating me, because I like to rant. And then I'm going to give my philosophy of the podcast. I'm going to try to throw in a good news story. You got to keep things positive. You don't want it to be too negative. And then, I'll tell you where I'm playing next, tell you what's going on in my life, see how things are going, and I'm going to have a question, comment section. I'm going to try to go Facebook Live. I'm getting the social media stuff up and running. So I can tell you about the first podcast. The first one's going to feature Gary Sanders of Mother's Keeper, a band that I'm currently in. And we're going to talk about his experiences, and he's got a lot of them. Vast experience playing music professionally, and get his take on things and gear. And we're going to talk about some stuff and talk about Mother's Keeper and what's coming up for them and all that good Joe. And then I got a couple other people lined up, and I'm going to be doing different segments. I'm not just going to be sticking to, genres that I necessarily play. I got a couple things lined up. I got actual art, like, the guys that put pencil or, insert writing utensil here on insert paper that you would like to use. Guys that actually draw stuff. Going to have a couple of those. I got Chris Wade from Huntsville who's going to be on the show around the second or third episode. I've got some people lined up. It's going to be fun. And of course, I got the beer, so, what better? I get to drink and talk. I do that naturally, and now I'm just putting a recording device in front of my face, right? It's brought to you by the Shanti Power Hour, which is sponsored by fucking no one, because I'm looking for sponsors. So if I start getting some listeners in, I start showing some analytics that are 3 to 4 numbers wide. Hey, you pay $20, I'll give you some advertising. Why not, huh? And buy me another case of beer. You're supporting the show. Appreciate it. Also, I'm doing this out of my bedroom, so if you hear jingles, it sounds like jingle bells, that's my cats. You hear a dog barking, don't get too upset about it. You're likely to hear all kinds of work going on around. They're working on the street. I think it kind of be loud. That's life, though, right? I'm literally sitting at a small desk that's got my PlayStation and TV on it, running things from my phone. And I will say I'm doing this through a Rodecaster. If you don't know what Rode is, check out their stuff. I'm using a NT1 mic. Hopefully it sounds good. But yeah, that's the promo. Right at 7 minutes I've been talking now. Wow. If you've been listening this long, I appreciate it. So check out the first show, Mother's Keeper, Gary Sanders. Be coming out soon. I get the social media presence on. When I do, I'll get all that stuff set up. I'll announce all that during the first show. This is just kind of a little promo to, generate some excitement, generate some interest. We'll see what happens. But, I hope you guys have had a enjoyable evening, morning, afternoon. Like I said, wherever you are, just have a good one. Look forward to the first cast. This is Gear, Beer, New Laughs, and Old Friends. And I'm your host, Sean Peabody, and this is my podcast. And, all right, it's time to drink more. Bye.